Let's get into today's episode of Why We Succeed.
When you think about your journey personally, going into graphic design, seeing how it was something that you just kind of was like, hey, these are the options that I have based on my grades. I'm going to go in this direction. And you worked it out. You start making money. You get success as a graphic designer. And I'm curious, how did you decide that, hey, you know what? I'm going to shift from being a graphic designer to now getting into UI, UX design?
That was again something monetary. So we go again back to the thing. Because I remember. So I came in, like, when I did that shift, I started like dibbling around when I was back in my home country in Romania.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, when I came to London, I was looking at at jobs.
Right.
So I saw, like, I had a mechanical engineering back then, so I could go as a mechanical engineering, get a salary. But the salaries back then that I was looking at, they were like 25 per year as a mechanical engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, as a graphic designers, they were a lot higher. They were like 30, 32. Mm-hmm. And then as a UI, UX designer, they were like 40 something. And I was like, oh, this is a peculiar, it's just like, what do they do? Because at the end of the day, you basically do the same thing in terms of skill. So you don't need to be talented. What I later found out is that you actually have to deploy a lot of psychology, and you have to get into the data and analyze stuff. So I think like that's the thing that I haven't seen initially. But at first I was like, okay, so I have to do all these beautiful graphics and do the designs and so on, and drop shadows and gradients and stuff like that, and I get paid less than drawing boxes and circles and triangles and lines. It's like, that's pretty stupid to me. So it's like, okay, drawing boxes, lines, and triangles it is.
Right.
So that's how I got into it initially.
I love that, man. You're like, hey, I get to not utilize all of that technicalness, and I get to make almost double the amount of money. Like, why not? Since you guys haven't figured it out, let me come take advantage of that.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how I got into it, to be honest. Yeah. But yeah, afterwards, it's like when you start going into it, you're going to see that it's a lot of psychology. You have to analyze data. You have to conduct user testing. So it's a lot of like subtle things that you don't think of. But in terms of a skill, for someone who now is a graphic designer and they look at this podcast, it's like, don't be afraid to just take the jump, because it's, in terms of skill, it's exactly the same thing, even less. So it's nothing different.
And to the point of skill, you mentioned that when you first got into graphic design at university, right, that you didn't come into it with any experience, any drawing abilities or anything of that nature. So how long did it take you to develop your skills as a graphic designer, would you say?
So I will say, to a point where I was okay with it, and I will be like, okay, this is a good design, I will say like around a year. And that's mainly because I did not have any mentors. I did not.
You said 1 year?
Like 1 year, yeah.
Wow.
But it's like to a point where I was really good at, right? So I mean, you can start into graphic design and evolve pretty fast. I mean, personally, I can teach you now to be a UI designer in like a month tops, and you'll be a good one. Yeah, because it's like there's certain things that, doing this for like 10 years now, there's certain things that are kind of like basics. So for example, a navigation bar, when you're first starting out, you draw a rectangle, you're like, how many pixels should it have? It's like 100, 50, 20. But I know that based on experience, that a perfect, navigation bar is anywhere between 60 and 80 pixels. That's it.
Okay.
So already that cuts you a lot of effort, right? Because you know exactly what to do. So it was exactly the same with graphic design, but it took me a long time, because I was like, am I doing this right? I'm not doing it. And I was always instead of actually going to meetings where you have like people that are doing this, I was trying to get projects on like freelance platforms. And I think that kind of like took a toll on me. And it took me longer to evolve, because I was looking at people that were doing exactly the same thing, and we were not evolving. We were just like doing the same thing over and over again and trying to win a contest, basically.
But wow, man. Yo, like something that you just said just stood out to me, and I'm like, yo, I got to link up with you further, Dennis, because I'm like that is a in demand skill to have, and you're like, yo, I can teach you that in an hour, and like that is just like, wow.
It's it's yeah, I mean it's this is, to be honest, it's like one of my like now goals. So I want to kind of like bring everything that I've learned throughout all these 10 years and just put it
Wow.
into like a Skillshare kind of like video, and
Yes.
help people, you know, like boost their learning curve. Because
Oh man.
it's like it's no point for you, you know, looking around videos, and why do you need to go through what I've been through when
Right.
I can teach you like everything that I've learned in 10 years in basically like a couple of weeks.
Right. And case in point, that's what drew my attention to you. Discovering your YouTube channel and seeing how passionate you were about not just sharing your journey, but really giving people actionable information, valuable information that they could take and apply as a graphic designer, as a UI or UX designer, and begin to see progress, begin to see results. And I was like, yo, man, like this, there's a lot of people out there that will, like I say, feed you breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And I peak up, you know, like I get come to attention when I see people that are like, hey, I'm not here to just give you a breadcrumb. Here's the whole sandwich. We can all eat. Like let's have a meal together. And that's the perception that I got when I came to your channel. Is I was like, wow, this is a guy who understands the value that he has as an artist, as a graphic designer, as a UI UX designer. And you understand that, hey, I have a unique skill, but you can still be successful in this field as well. And I want to pour everything that I have out onto anybody who's interested so that you guys can go be successful as well. And that was something that really resonated with me about you, Dennis.
I mean, it's like, to be honest, it's like that's what resonated with me and you as well. Like, you remember when we first like met, and when I saw
Yeah.
what you're doing and I heard the message, I was like, yes, that's exactly how I think about it. Because it's
Yeah.
like everyone thinks about this as a sum zero game. So if
Mhm.
I win, you must lose. But it's not
Right.
like that. It's like when we teach each other, we actually evolve together. So it's like, let's say, for example, that the demand for UX UI designers is high, right? Now it's like, now it's actually pretty high. So
Yeah.
let's say that afterwards the supply will surpass the demand. What you're gonna do? We're gonna get into AR. We're gonna get into VR. So we're always gonna evolve. We're always gonna step up. So for me, sharing what I've learned so far, I'm
Mhm.
not afraid of it because I always want to grow. So I'm
Right.
like, I'm not afraid that you're gonna steal my bread or you're gonna
Right.
make more money than me. I'm gonna be happy. And in
Mhm.
exchange, we're gonna have a partnership. So
Right.
I will help you, but I know that deep in your heart, you're gonna help me somehow. It's
Yeah.
like, I don't know, you're gonna say, like, look, man, I've learned from this guy and I really
Right.
like them. Or even if you don't, it's like, it's fine. I'm completely fine with it. It's like I don't expect anything in return.
Because at the end of the day, you were still the person that sowed the seed, right? And that's the beautiful thing about seeds, is that they don't just come from anywhere. Like
Yeah.
somebody had to plant the seed. And even though that person may not get the credit for the tree, the plant, or whatever was sprouting, at the end of the day, that person still planted the seed. And that's what you're doing, man. And I am appreciative of it. I am definitely learning from the videos that you put up. And I look forward to continuing to learn from you, man. I honestly didn't know that UI and UX design could be learned in that short of a period of time. And that just piqued my interest because I'll be completely honest and transparent with you, Dennis. I've been thinking of, okay, like I have these skill sets, but when I think long term and when I look at our current environment, when I look at the skills that are most in demand, I know that I need to start planning for the years that are coming. Like I know podcasting and voice work and editing, all of that stuff is hot now, but I got to plan beyond that. I got to understand that it may not always be that way. And I'm looking at what new skills can I develop that can put me in a place where these things that are on the rise, I can be able to add value in that space as well. And what you just stated here just piqued my interest in, like, yo, I had UI UX design on the list, but I was thinking, man, that might be something that's tough because I don't have experience as a graphic designer or an artist. But just hearing from you, like, man, yo, it's possible to learn that skill and it not take forever.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's not hard. I mean, you'll think that it's a long kind of like, it's hard, but
Mhm.
once you start doing it, fair enough. I mean, let's get this straight. So you're not going to be in a month, you're not going to be at a top level. So you're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to get like the best jobs ever. But you're going to be able to start. So you're going to be able to go get your first job and start building around. Because the thing is with UX UI design is that you need to gain experience from research, from seeing and knowing how users interact with your product. The skill in terms of like drawing and making beautiful things, that's easy to learn. But then afterwards is that small untangible thing when it's coming up with ideas, coming up with solutions for your problems, coming up for, so that will take you a bit longer. But to get started, it's like, it's literally, you can start really easy. There are a couple of things that you need to learn, and then afterwards you're good to go. You're like, from that point on, you can just roll on and explore and evolve yourself.
Oh man, yo, you got me excited, man. 2022. I'm adding it to my list, man.
it's like I've looked at your website and so on, and we can do so many things. It's like, you know, it's like we can add to, Google Analytics, Hotjar, tracking, see how people interact with it, see what they're reading. Man, it's like it's a lot. So it's definitely a skill that I will be more than happy to share with you, so that it will help you in your journey. So yeah.
And likewise, man, if there's anything that I can do to assist you when it comes to editing, voiceover work, anything else in that field, I got you, man. I look forward to it. And that's what this podcast is also about. I know I shared this with you when we were talking previously. It's about building community. That's really what I'm trying to accomplish here with this podcast. Is everybody knows what it takes to be successful. You find something that you're able to operate in, do it successfully, do it to a place where you add value to other people, and you will see profit eventually. I feel like that equation is easy for everybody to figure out, but it's the work that goes with it. And I think in addition to the work, it's the relationships. It's the people that the people in your network. And my objective here with Why We Succeed is to introduce people to Dennis, introduce people to all of my other guests on the podcast, and they can see like, oh man, like it's possible for me to dive into that. I never would have thought, and somebody might be listening like, man, I never even thought about UI, UX design, but like Dennis gave me something to think about. I might have to think about diving into it myself right now. It's happening.
That's like to me, that's amazing. Like if I can do that to people, for me, it's like, that's the best thing. If I can have people that are like, look, man, I've looked, because it was the same for me. I got into YouTube because I looked at other YouTubers that were like, man, you can do this. It's not easy. It's like easy. You can grab a camera and start rolling and start sharing your ideas. I was like, okay, I can get into this. Same with graphic design, same with UI design. I had kind of like mentors. Yeah, you can call them mentors, right? But people who inspire me. So if we can do that with this podcast, with other people, and be like, imagine after a year, someone is like, man, I got my first UX UI job, and as a mid UX UI designer, it's like, it's amazing. Now I can do all of this. I'm fulfilled. I tap dance when I go to work. That to me is like the tap dance, right? That to me is like because if he will hate the job, then we failed. Maybe we helped him make like a bit more money, but we failed in terms of like fulfilling his happiness. But I think like that's an amazing thing. So and again, as we previously talked before the show, is like, that's why I love and I connected with you so easily, because when I heard about your story and how you started, I was like, man, it resonates so much with what I want to do. So it's like, I really want to be part of this. So,
man, and I'm grateful, man, beyond grateful. And you're just a great person. And I know we've only known each other for a short period of time, but it's just like some people you just connect with. And I feel that connection with you, Dennis. It's just like, I feel like I've known you for longer than I have. And I think it's just because of how genuine you are, man. You're just such a genuine person, and I'm so grateful for just having our paths cross, man. I really genuinely am.
Likewise, man. I like really appreciate it, and I'm the same. It's like, as you said, it's like we just met, and you saw like the first time we were actually testing the call and everything. We were like, we spoke like an hour and a half, like just mumbling around.
But it turned into an hour, but it was amazing.
I mean, it's like, I think like it's pretty much, I don't know if you're a scientist or if you're a religious person. I think it's all about energies or something. I don't know. It's like, I don't want to, it's up to everyone to judge for themselves. But I think like, once you kind of like, once you get to that point where you know and you're comfortable with yourself, I think you start attracting people that are resonating the same as you do. So I think like that's kind of like the secret, because going now on this path, when I started being okay with myself as I am and be like, okay, I'm not going to get into banking. I'm going to stay in design and this is what I'm good at. That's when I started attracting people. And like, as you said, like people that we just met and I was like, oh my God, I feel like I know you for an entire life.
Yeah.
So, and that brought me like, I had the opportunity to work and spend time with some pretty big people. Like, for example, because I was in a contract, right? So I met this guy and he was a CTO and we actually started working together really well. So we stayed in touch, and all the time when he was moving to different companies, he was calling me and be like, oh, hi, I'm at this new company. Could you come in and help us out with the project? And I was like, oh, that's amazing. So we built like a very good relationship, talking about relationships, right?
Right.
And that sort of like rolled out throughout the years. And at one point I got to I started working with a company called Influencer. And the company called Influencer is owned by Casper Lee, who is a very famous YouTuber, and like his partner, like Ben Jeffries. So you see, it's like that relationship brought me into a point where I was like, I was looking at Casper, so I met him and I was like, hi, Casper, how are you? He's like, good. He was trying to explain to me who he is, but I was like, oh my God, it's like, I know you. And it's like, you have so many followers and it's like, you're talking to me. I was like, wow. It's like, right. But it was all because I had that genuine relationship with a person, and basically he took care of me, and we continued. We kind of like nourished that relationship throughout the years, and that brought me some really cool opportunities, and that I'm really grateful of.
Oh man, that's amazing. Relationships are so key, man. Like I've come to realize that people truly are the most valuable resource on the planet. And I know that there are some people that will probably debate me about that, right? Right. You know, there are a lot of, resources on the planet. But when I look at what our ultimate objective is here in life, right? Whether you look at it from a purpose-based perspective or you look at it from like a success-based perspective, is you need people to achieve your goal. Like there's nothing that a person can set as a goal. I mean, clearly we know that you can set an individual goal, do internal work, but when we think about on a bigger scale, you need other people. You need it. And when you have the right people, because that's also important, is you can meet a lot of people throughout your life, but as we were just talking about, you're not going to always have that connection with people. Everybody isn't going to have the right integrity, the right character for you to move forward and do business with. So it's also about navigating and being able to discern the right people that you should cultivate those relationships with, man. And it's a joy to hear how you met somebody and that person continued to bring you along as they were progressing on their journey, and then started to connect you with other people, and you find yourself in the presence of somebody that you're like, yo, I watched this person on YouTube, and like, here I am now, not just meeting them, not as a fan, but actually entering into a partnership with them. And that's to an entirely different level than just watching somebody or being a fan of them. It puts you in the room with them, and you're able to connect on a level that more than likely you wouldn't have been able to if it wasn't for all of those other people who connected the dots.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like the thing is, the key thing I will add to that, it has to be like real. So you have to keep it real. Don't try to pretend you're something else. Don't try to impress some persons or like some people. It's like, if you do that, then you're going to fail. Be like, look, man, I don't know how to do this. I'm honest with you, but I'm willing to work, or I'm willing to put the effort in. So I think like that's the key thing, because I've seen this pattern, kind of like people trying to hang around other people just because they're cool or they're famous. That won't work. Even if you want, for example, let's say I want to have, I don't know, Elon Musk as my mentor. And I'm calling him, harassing him. It's like, man, I really want you to be my mentor. Look, I'm hardworking. I love doing stuff. It's like, that will not work because we don't have anything in common. Right? Yeah. But for example, if both him and I enjoy playing tennis or enjoy, talking about geeky stuff like nobody wants to do, then that creates a bond between me and him. And he will be like, okay, I can get value from him right?
Right.
Because you have to think about that in a relationship as well.
Mm-hmm.
Go with the mindset. What can I offer? And then afterwards think about what can I get? Because everyone knows what they want and what they're going to get, right? When it's a
Right.
famous person, we all know what we're going to get from them. So
Right.
that's easy. But what is that? Because what is that thing that I can provide to him that he will think of me as being valuable?
Right.
Right. That's the most important thing. Because it's like, okay, let's say he can afford all the watches, everything, and so on. But I'm a small watch manufacturer that can offer him like a, I don't know, personalized watch or something that no one else can offer him and that he's looking for. So I think like that's the key thing when building these types of relationships that will propel you forward and that will evolve into something beautiful. Hi guys, my name is Dennis. I'm a UX UI designer, YouTuber, entrepreneur, and I share things about design and business on my YouTube channel. So if you want to get in touch with me, or if you're just interested in, finding more about me and, what I have to share, you can check my website, which is dennisleoca.com, or you can check my YouTube channel.